Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our webinar today. The topic is Maestro Server OCR, the new version 8. That's what we want you to show and to give you some information in the approximately next 45 minutes. I will do the webinar together with Armin, our Director for Research and Development. And yes, as an agenda, I would like to start with some introduction, which is 2 slides on Foxit, in case you don't know Foxit so good yet. Then we come to specific OCR topics, also for more accessible documents or PDF-A for archiving. And this is the travel we want to do with you, and Armin will do the live demo. Armin will introduce himself in a minute. First, I want to introduce myself. My name is Thomas Zellmann. I'm here at Foxit Europe for sales. Foxit Europe is located here in Berlin, Germany, for the enterprise automation part, and this includes Maestro Server and also other products you will see in some minutes. Armin, please introduce himself briefly and give some practical tips.
Yes, thank you very much, Thomas. My title was already mentioned. I am the Director of R&D of the Enterprise Automation Business Unit of Foxit. Practically, that means I'm the head of the development team, which is responsible for the PDF compressor, Maestro, and rendition server products. So for the server side of things, for the server PDF products of Foxit. Regarding the technical hints, you may have noticed that you're all on mute. This is on purpose for this webinar, but of course that does not mean we want to silence your questions and exclude you from participating, but we kindly ask you to enter your questions as text in the chat and questions window of the GoToMeeting software. We'll keep an eye on that in the course of the webinar and try to answer questions as best as possible and as they fit into the course of the webinar. From our experience, that works part of the time. Sometimes we get very good questions that are very suitable for the entire audience. Sometimes, of course, the questions are valid, but far too detailed and too difficult to answer. And in that case, we ask your understanding to take this question out of the webinar and get back to you personally later to answer that. On the other hand, you're of course welcome to send your questions anytime. Our contact addresses will be shown at the end of the presentation. The presentation along with a recording of the entire webinar will also be made available. So whenever something is left unclear or questions come up in the aftermath, don't hesitate to contact us regarding that. And one last thing, after the webinar, a short questionnaire is shown regarding your impression and your remarks and the general evaluation of the webinar, and we kindly ask you to fill out that quick, short questionnaire. Should only be a couple of minutes. That helps us a lot in conducting these webinars and in devising future events. That's it from my side for now. I'll be back later for the technical presentation, and I'll hand over again to Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Armin, for your introduction and the tips. And let's get started. So as I said, a short overview about Foxit as a company, in case you are not so familiar with Foxit so far. I always like to put it quite simple. So this very simple message is, if you have any PDF task, any PDF project, then Foxit is please a candidate whom you ask. There are obviously a lot of other PDF vendors, but I think this is the focus of Foxit. This is where we hopefully, for a lot of projects, PDF tasks, we have a good solution for you. So that's the one thing. And as you will see in a minute, we offer a complete PDF product portfolio. As you can see on the map, Foxit is a worldwide or global company. So you can see Asia, you can see the United States, and you can also see Europe. So we are really anywhere on the business places in this world. And our mission is to provide PDF solutions which are faster. So that's one key point, to have good performance in our products. And I always like to mention Foxit Reader for that, because this is a very slim and performant reader. As you may have tested it, it's free of charge and delivers a very good performance, because the main goal of a PDF reader is to display the PDF as fast as possible. More efficient, more cost efficient, and also more secure. So not topic today, but there are also a lot of options if you need secure PDFs. And this is basically what Foxit's doing. We are around 400 employees and deploy, because we are investing a lot in developing modern, innovative PDF technology. We have a large amount of engineers which work on our PDF products, which is here in Berlin, but also in the United States, as well as in Asia. And I think we can truly claim that we are the number 2 of PDF solutions worldwide. So obviously, you know, Adobe is number 1. But then if you look to specific PDF solutions, then I think it's Foxit. And as I said in the beginning, please always ask us if you have a PDF task. Maybe sometimes another tool is better, but I hope very often the PDF solution product helps for your specific task. And to see the complete product line in a short overview, just to give you an impression, basically we have 3 product lines, or also business units. And the one is called, on the left side, personal productivity, which I like to translate it very simple to client or PC. Those are tools which are running on your laptop, on your workstation PC. And yeah, you may know the Foxit Reader, because this is well known and famous, free of charge. Then obviously our flagship product here is a complete PDF editor, also as an alternative to Adobe Acrobat, which is Phantom PDF and comes in 2 flavors, standard or business, where my recommendation typically is to go for business. Like we will discuss PDF-A as an archiving standard, and then business is the one which supports this and many other features. And then obviously we address the mobile world, where we have a lot of solutions for mobile devices. If we jump to the right, you see our SDKs. So this is this product line. SDK is a programming library, as you likely know. So if you are a software company, mainly interesting for software companies, and you are developing an ERP system or maybe an ECM system, and you need things to convert, create PDF invoices, other PDF documents, and those SDKs may help to accomplish this task. And in the middle, we have our professional solutions, or server-based, so those products run on the server. And then obviously what we want to talk about today is Maestro Server OCR for high volume of scanned documents. It's somewhat the little brother of PDF Compressor, which can do somewhat more. He's also for scanned documents, so it adds a color compression. So as the name indicates, compressor, as well as conversion of what we call born digital documents. Just think of emails. So emails can also be converted to PDF or PDF-A. And then on the bottom, we see the rendition server, which is really a central platform for PDF conversion in a large enterprise. So if you have multiple applications, SAP running, maybe an ECM system running, other applications which are needed, think of an insurance application, and this is where rendition server can help to do a central and homogeneous PDF conversion in order that you get very high quality PDF documents out of all those applications, and not using hundreds of tools which create PDF in a different flavor, in a different quality. And just on the bottom, but short note here, so Microsoft Rights Management, because I said secure PDF solutions, and for collaboration purposes, or also in the cloud, we have our connected PDF solution. So within your company or with your partners, with your suppliers, you can set up and use connected PDF in order to create a PDF document, and your colleague may add some comments. You will all see this real time, and then maybe you involve your supplier into this discussion, and he can also work together with you. Collaboration is the idea on this PDF document. This was a short overview about Foxit, and then we want to come to Maestro Server itself, just to give you the first idea where the use cases are. And the use cases are mainly or not only for scanned documents, so that's really where it helps. If you have high volume, and typically there are two main applications. There are some variants, but very often it comes down to those two. So the one is a digital mailroom, so you still get paper mails, paper posts into your company. They go to your central office post room, and then very often they are already digitized there, but Maestro helps to make them high quality, to make them full text searchable, and also convert them to PDF or PDFA. Or on the other hand, you may have, 100 meters of digital or not digital paper files in your cellar, and you want lots of government companies, healthcare companies are doing this these days in order to get access to get those important business documents online. They start a digitization project, and if you do so, then obviously Maestro helps to make the same benefits with full text searchable, as you can see in the middle. So this makes it an intelligent document. So I think you know it, but just as a short, so the technology is called OCR, which comes down to optical character recognition, and this is which makes a scan more intelligent. So if you scan a document at home, typically it's a dummy picture, which is just a collection of pixels, and OCR really starts the recognition of the characters, of the words, and this is what makes it intelligent. So you are able to search in this PDF document, you are able to handle large documents, so you don't want to read 100 pages, you want to find my name Zellmann on page 58 immediately and don't want to read page 1 to 57. So this is where OCR helps. Maestro, and as Foxit is also very active in this ISO standards area, can create all PDFA levels. So the archiving standard itself has some detailed levels, and as we are very active there, we support them all. And also an interesting option, we'll see this later, is the ability to create more accessible documents. So if you think of handicapped people, then they are maybe not able, think of a blind person, to see what we see here on the screen. So this is where Maestro helps already to create more accessible documents. They are not full accessible, but you have a real good start to make them accessible. So this comes down to the bottom line, where Maestro is very good, can be used in high volume conversions. So whether it's a mailroom, whether it's a digitization project, you need to convert many pages to PDF, and this is especially for black and white, but where you can use Maestro. Then I want to discuss a little bit the OCR. I called it criteria. Obviously, I show what Maestro is able to do, but this is, if you look for OCR, are points where you want to look after, which helps you to create the best out of your documents, which you scan. And then, obviously, I put a very simple example. So if somebody has a scanned document with Hello World, would be good if the OCR also recognizes Hello World. So as you know, it depends on different things, whether the recognition is good or not, and also on the quality of the OCR engine, not so good, but sometimes you see it. So for the hello, the L was considered a 1, and by accident, the R was not detected and just goes away. A feature which Armin will also show later in the demo online, but I like this very much, and especially for scanned documents, it's really, I think, a compelling reason to use Foxit Reader. As I said, free of charge, just use it as an alternative PDF reader. For scanned documents, you can really see, you can see it here in the view text viewer option, that you can look directly to the OCR and you get an immediate feeling, a direct feeling how good the OCR is. Obviously, I picked a good example here, so you will hardly find any recognition errors. But sometimes, depending on the material, this may look different. And with other PDF tools, you typically have to to copy and paste those maybe into Word in order to check this. So Foxit Reader, especially for scanned documents, really allows to look directly to that, and that's a very handy feature, I would call it. Yeah, and I just talked about a little bit, so the basis, and I don't want to forget it. If I show you a nice example, then I want to talk at least a few words about the documents itself and also the scan process. So obviously the result, what the OCR engine, what Maestro can do, depends on the document. So if you have a very good paper from the, let's say, last 10 years or a current paper which you scan, then the recognition will typically be quite good. But you may have old fax paper which is 20 years old, so the quality on the paper itself is already bad or went away a little bit, or think I put this as an example because it's easy to imagine. Think of microfilm. So let's assume this microfilm box was sitting 30 years somewhere in the archive, and now the digitization project starts. Then obviously the software cannot do any wonders. So if the original, the microfilm, is already destroyed, bad quality after 30 years, then Maestro will do the best what it can do, but it is limited, as you can easily imagine. And also for the scan process itself, it depends on the scan hardware. So typically we recommend to use professional scan hardware. So if you go with an MFP device, this may be okay for single pages, for small volumes, but if you have larger volumes where you digitize, then typically a professional scanner helps and can do a lot of things. So the technology is very advanced these days, and you get a very good digital basis. And if this is available, then also the OCR can do a good job based on this. And the one thing which we also always like to mention is obviously the resolution. So our recommendation is typically 300 dpi. There are special cases where you want to go for different resolution, but that's the typically good one. And you can easily imagine if you scan in a very low 75 dpi, then you can hardly see the image. The eye cannot recognize it, cannot recognize the text, the human eye, and also the OCR likely to fail. The recognition quality was definitely the most important, and basically the professional ones like Maestro create pretty good results these days. And typically the shareware or freeware OCRs create something, but not this high quality. Other important criteria are the performance itself. So this is also, especially if you think high volume, how long does it need? How many hardware do you need to process this? And then it's a basic question. Does the OCR need 1 second per page, or does it need 3 seconds? So we have seen different engines there with different speed. And this is an important criteria. Also, if you look to the screenshot on the right, Maestro, but honestly also other solutions, offer different modi, speed modi. So like most accurate, which I clicked here, balance is somewhere in between, and fast. Whereas with Maestro, don't be anxious. So fast is not quick and dirty. So let's take a good scan, good document, and you may have on one page, you may have 4 wrong character recognitions, and if you do most accurate, it goes down to 2, but the 4 may be acceptable. So this really depends on your project, on your use case. Then obviously there are many languages on this earth, and your language should be supported. So how many languages does the OCR support? And obviously we are talking in English here, so English is a good one. But those are, let's say, the Latin ones. Think of Croatian, Danish, Dutch, so all those European or Latin languages. The other thing is there are also what we call complicated languages. So the Asian people likely will say German or English is complicated, but so I put it in quotes here, but the typically ones are called, in technical terms, CJK, which is Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and you know those characters. So can the OCR do that? Can they do Cyrillic or Hebrew, which are Arabian? Those are the what I would call the difficult languages. And then with Maestro, this is all included in the package. there are some other solutions where you have to pay extra for those. And then there are also exotic ones, so which is I was a little bit smiling, and it should be a small gag. So Chamorro, I don't know what that is. I Googled it, and Wikipedia told me it's Marina Island, and maybe you have fun in looking where the Marina Islands are on this Earth. More important again is the additional output formats. So when you do the normal OCR, so you convert the scanned documents, the OCR is embedded or within the PDF file. And there are a lot of use cases, and we know this from a lot of our customers, where they want to have this data also as extra format in order to import it into their ACM system, in order to fill a full text search database, or think also of the very modern approaches, applications like artificial intelligence. So you want the data in order to have what's that input for artificial intelligence, because in those documents typically your most important business information is included, and that's where you want to access this. And you see on the right side, so I selected Word as a simple example, Alto as a standard, for example, and also the Confidence, but this is what Armin will discuss later. And then there are also advanced options, which are for specific use cases, but it's also something to look for. It helps. It improves the quality of your documents. It improves the recognition quality. So on the one hand, it's dictionaries. So typically the OCR starts and tries to identify each character. So that's an I, or from dictionary it's a D, it's an I, it's a C, it's a T. And then it also double checks against those dictionaries. And if the recognition is not the good, and let's pick this I, the OCR thinks maybe that's an I, maybe that's an L, then it checks up the dictionary, and if it's English or take another language like Dutch, then obviously it knows the Dutch word should be an I, and it will select the I. Then another interesting feature is zonal OCR, so where you have OCR only on parts of the documents. And this is very often the case. We know this from our customers, from our support experience. Think of maps, and maps may be quite large. So I don't know, as large as a table or whatever formats you take, A0, A1. And the map may have most of the document, maybe the map itself, so lines and the picture, but there may be header data or footer data, and this is where you want to OCR this one, and this also helps to speed up the process. Then there are also details. I like this one personally, but if you have a word like my name, Zellmann, and what happens if it's in the document, it's a line break, so will the search find the word, or will it fail because the dash is not recognized? You will see this in the demo with Armin. And then also what I love to discuss a little bit is this issue of 100% recognition. As I said, the OCR depends on the input quality of the document, how good the recognition can be. So think of this microfilm sample with a very old bad microfilm. You may end up with 60% recognition, but even with good ones, it may be 98%. And if the requirement is, and sometimes it is for very, very important documents, think of Parliament protocols, that's one case I know, and then there's really the need. And on the one hand, there may be simply a manual correction. So Phantom PDF, our complete PDF editor, is a good tool to help on a limited manner. And then this is what I have discussed very often, but never seen in real life. So to deploy multiple OCR engines, so think of 3, which is simple, and then if 2 engines say this is an L to stay to my sample, and the one says it's an I, so it will decide for an I. So this was a little bit the points which are important for OCR, for deploying an OCR in order to get good results. And one another topic which also Maestro delivers is more accessible scans. And just one slide here, so there's much more on this topic, but we wanted to integrate it but not discuss it here in all details. But the starting point is typically, if you do a normal scan, it's 0 accessible. So just always think of a blind person. So this is a classic example, which is easy to imagine. So the blind person can see nothing because first the scan is a picture. He's blind, he cannot see this picture. So any screen reader, read aloud reader will tell him, here's a picture. It doesn't help him very much. And this is where Maestro comes in. And the technical term is called auto tagging. So it makes scanned documents more accessible. So it really tries to identify structures, identify the reading order. So think of a newspaper. You don't want that the reading order is from left to right. This will screw up the read aloud reader. It is really by column. So that's a very simple example. And but the software cannot make it 100% accessible. So just think of a picture here on the right. So full accessibility requires that you supply an alternate image text, and this is what software cannot detect. So somebody has to say, this is a logo of a wheelchair. But in general, and I'm always surprised how good Maestro and also PDF compressor are doing it, it's much less work to reach then 100% accessible PDFs. And just to mention it briefly, there's also an ISO standard for accessibility, which is called PDF UA for universal accessibility. And it's not just for accessibility, also when using and deploying this feature, you get more structured documents, and this also helps for other applications. Think of those modern artificial intelligence applications again. So if there's structure, then such applications can start much better and extract, select, analyze documents much better. More technical detail that so far for scans, we have recommended this QU level, and now it can be 2A, which adds this. Just by selecting this, it will happen. And then I was thinking, but we checked it, maybe takes double the time. Is it worth the effort? But what we have checked, tested, it's only 8% more. And this is not a price in money, but a price in runtime, which is no big issue. So now, this was the introduction. I will switch to Armin briefly, and he will give you the live impression of Maestro.
Yes, thank you very much, Thomas. Okay, there we go. This main window here is the user interface of Maestro, and the ones who are familiar with PDF compressor will easily recognize the similarities. So once again, we have a list of conversion jobs. In this case, no compression jobs, but conversion and OCR jobs. And we have a number of processor cores on this machine, 8 to be specific. And I have already created this job here for the English version of the webinar. So this is our input folder. Let me briefly show you what's in there. We have 2 subfolders with black and white scanned documents, so some proceedings of whatever, black and white text scans, and a patent, I think, for some automobile technology, and 2 pieces of newspaper, 1 form in black and red, weight and text statements, and this leaflet for a real estate offering, okay? Quite popular buying real estate in Berlin at present. So, okay, that's the input folder for my Maestro conversion process. You see a lot of similar options to the PDF compressor, but no, as we call them, born digital formats, so no Office, no email conversion. The output folder is right next to the input. As Thomas already mentioned, I have chosen PDF A to A instead of the default PDF A to U in order to create tagged PDFs right away. You have some more options. Again, this is a strict subset of the functions in PDF compressor. So everything you see here in terms of options and conversion is available in PDF compressor as well. As Thomas mentioned, there are some things for image pre-processing. For example, if you have microfiche scanned, you can invert the colors and make them black text on white text again. You can also reduce the color information in the document, make them grayscale. And eventually you get to this tab here, which is kind of the heart of the matter. It's the OCR. Still, you can choose to switch off OCR, but of course, then you only get PDFs without recognized text. That may be helpful in some cases, but overall, this is of course the thing to do. We have the languages here. For the English webinar, I deselected German and selected English as the language. And we have some of the additional output file formats. So with these formats checked, Alto, for example, or Microsoft Word, you get a file corresponding to the scanned document, where the Alto is a specific standardized XML representation of the text contents. It's kind of a vendor-independent OCR format, okay? And the MS Word is, of course, Microsoft Word, so you can also generate a fully functional Word document from your scanned text pages. And also briefly mentioned by Thomas, I think, we can write a so-called confidence report. It's, again, an XML document, and it basically contains all the statistics of the OCR as to how sure it was on a per character, per word, per page basis that everything it recognized is correctly. So that can, of course, serve to control the entire process. If you see a drop in this confidence, it may have to do with the scan quality or something else may be amiss in your process. And then we have those advanced OCR options. So you can switch picture and table detection on and off. That influences the way in which the OCR, for example, looks for text in things such as images. It can be desirable. It can be a detraction. You can specify the range of pages to actually submit to OCR. So if you know, for example, all your odd pages don't contain text at all, then of course you can include them from the OCR. And you can skip pages for certain sizes. This is specifically in case you have large images, such as drawings, technical drawings and maps, where OCR is known to yield poor results, and then you can exclude them from processing right away. We'll see a little more of that when I get to Zonal OCR, but for now, let's just start this conversion job. And you see, once I've clicked on Start here, the processor cores get occupied with the conversion tasks, and the output folder is beginning to fill with the documents created. So for each input document, we now see an Alto document, a confidence report document, a Word document, and the actual PDF document. That's because of the additional file formats that I selected. Let's wait a second here for this one. I think this is really impressive. No, come on. Okay, there we have it. So this is the PDF document from the scans, some nice pictures of everything. And if you put the Word document next to it, you see a pretty decent representation of the same document, right? And this is a fully functional Word document. So I could just start typing into that right away. You see some of these separator lines were dropped, but for example, if I wanted to put some text here, I could immediately start with this Word document as a base for my editing. To have a quick peek into the Alto document, for those of you who are no, oh yeah, okay. Okay, for those of you who are familiar with it, that's an XML format, and you do see the eventual text content, renovated 3-room apartment with balcony in here, but along with lots of statistical information, such as the exact position of every single word on the page and so on and so forth. That is really pretty technical. Once again, if I get to this one over here, will show, I didn't devise a document that actually contained Thomas's name, so I'm sorry for that, Thomas. But you see this systems word has been hyphenated, but still, if I say systems here in the search, it will find it along with the instances where it stands completely. So that's one of the features. Again, we can also take a look at this document in the text viewer. You see, this is not so perfectly separated in terms of the two columns, but still all the text is in here. Same for this document over here, text viewer. Here the separation into two columns worked a little better, but that's basically what you get. And now I'd quickly like to show you the zonal OCR feature. So for that, we have a construction drawing here, which I can open up, which will already take a moment in this OrtMan viewer. And what you see here is quite a complicated drawing with lots of symbols, lines, and text in there. That's a pretty hard job for any OCR from our experience, but we do have this rather clear block of signature information on the right-hand side. If you take an overall look at this image, you'll see that it is some 118 by 83 centimeters, so it's about a square meter in size. And beforehand, I did go and did a little measuring. This block on the right-hand side is some 20 centimeters wide. So if I take this document, simply drop it into the Maestro user interface. You see it here as the input file already. And then I go to Advanced OCR and do Zonal OCR. Define a new zone. So everything, or only what I define as the contents of this area, this zone, will be part of the OCR, okay? And if I now say, well, 20 centimeters from the right edge and no centimeters, nil from the top, plus the bottom right corner of the document, that's my zone to recognize, okay? And I could even say this should only happen for documents of a certain size, and I could add additional zones, but we'll stick to this one for now. What I now get when I OCR this document, of course, it is converted to a PDF file, and it takes a moment still. But what I get is this, and if I now go ahead and select all text in this document, you see blue markings only here for the right-hand side, and also in this text viewer view, well, it's German text that didn't get recognized so well with the English setting. I should have changed that. But anyway, this is the result for this document, and that can be a great help if you have things such as plans or maps, or for example, if you have a stack of documents where address information or payment information is always in about the same position, and that's actually all you're interested in, then you can define a zone to cover that area and get OCR information explicitly for that area. And for your downstream processes, there is much less additional clutter to filter through in order to get, for example, to a credit card number or account number or postcode or whatever. Okay. And finally, we'll get back to this plain output folder. And we'll open up this PDF accessibility checker. That's from a non-profit third-party organization who developed this application in order to analyze and rate the accessibility of documents. So if I take this newspaper page and drop it in here, it takes a moment to process, and you see some in some aspects we get green lights right away, in some other aspects we cannot, because, for example, we cannot really determine the language the document is in. As you just saw, I ran the German construction drawing with English settings, and that didn't get corrected. The process itself is unaware of what the actual language as a document is, and therefore we are hesitant to put some language information into the created result. Well, this actually really takes a while. Let's see whether we can get to the logical structure anyways. Okay, so here you have the page view, and this is the structure tree. This is the actual tagging visualized, and I can expand this, and you see right away this got recognized, misinterpreted as a table. That would be something that a human reviewer would have to correct. But for example, if I step through these here, you see that the reading order is pretty decent. It takes to the small articles in the left-hand column first, and then gets to the content of this article and gets the 2-column plus a table layout pretty decently. Okay, so this is something that the tagging will do. It will also contain information that's not viewable in this instant here. Okay, it will distinguish the images that have been recognized by the OCR, and they will be marked accordingly in the PDF output document. Okay. Okay, I'm aware that this was a pretty quick dash through some of the things that Thomas mentioned. Again, all that we've seen here also holds for PDF compressor. So PDF compressor really is the big brother. It has all the options plus some additional ones. Thomas, anything I forgot?
Thank you very much, Armin. No, I think it was a pretty good overview as far as I have seen. Let me switch the screen. So here's the summary of your things. There was one question, but I can answer this on my own. So the one question was how to configure or use Maestro in really high volume things. And so this is where we can provide or have experience on how many runtime is needed. Obviously, it always depends, but our, let's say, experiences are pretty good. And if you know, that's typically what you should know, or if you're a service provider, what your customer should know, the number of pages or the approximate. So let's assume there's 1 million pages to do. And how long is the time available? Maybe it's a one-time project, so you have, I don't know, only 3 weeks available, and then we can calculate how and help and estimate how Maestro should be used. And this is also a nice bridge to the license models, which I would like to give you at least an overview briefly. We're obviously always happy to discuss projects with you in detail and consult on usage, on on licensing, but also our support helps and is ready to help with if you have, let me call it, complicated documents. And there's a lot of, as you may have seen in Armin's demo, a lot of fine-tuning options which help for real world and difficult things, whereas the defaults typically work quite well, but if you have very specific documents, then fine-tuning may help a lot. So basically, there's a core model for ongoing projects. So as you have just seen in Armin's demo, he had a Maestro server with 8 cores, which is already a high volume thing. So this is helpful if you run the digital mailroom. And if you have more the one-time projects, so you have to do this 1 million pages and then the project is done, the job is done, then we also offer in a very flexible way what we call volume packs. And then the license is 1 million pages. So when the 1 million pages are converted, the license is over, but also your job is successfully completed. And this is also because this way the limit is the number of pages, so the maintenance is included. So you can do it in 3 weeks or in 3 years, doesn't matter. And you can use as much cores as you need in order to process it in the time you have available, because the limit is the 1 million pages. For existing Maestro customers, because it's already version 8, so as you may assume, there are previous versions, customers with maintenance are always welcome to upgrade as part of their maintenance. And also, if you're running Maestro for a while, the maintenance prices remain unchanged. So that's where we want to offer some long-term customer discount and that way. And just as a summary, I guess most of you know it, but this is a typically setup in a very simple description. Obviously, there's more when we talk about your projects and details, but you have the scan hardware, then you typically have a scan client. So this sits in front or happens before Maestro is coming into the game. So the scan client is typically, this helps to desk queue pages to make them, this one also some other features, and just think of empty back pages if you scan those, but while scanning you may want to drop them. And if you have what I like to call a good scan or an optimal scan in the best quality, because Maestro will do the rest for you, then you can deploy Maestro for reaching searchable PDF or PDF-A files. So this is what we wanted to present to you. We hope you received some interesting information. Obviously, the live demo is typically a highlight, and I think Armin did it very nicely. So thank you for your attention. Last question to Armin, whether there are further questions?
No, I don't see anything else at present.
No. Then maybe, as Armin said in the beginning, if you have a question in 5 minutes, please do not hesitate to contact us for this. We would like to thank you, and wherever you're located, have a nice evening or have a nice day. We hope to see you in a future webinar. Thank you and bye-bye.